Hi guys. Today's video is very quick and to the point. It's about Jussie Smollett and the fact that the charges were dropped against him. And I'm going to compare this with President Trump, who was totally exonerated of the charges that he was charged with. Well, according to him, as well as Jussie, he says that he is completely not guilty or innocent, and the charges were dropped as though he were completely exonerated. So both of these two men claiming to be exonerated, yet the majority of people, whether they're attorneys or police or anyone who works in the legal and law enforcement field, claim that they are still not exonerated, not cleared of the charges. So it's basically like, what to believe. Now, what we have to remember is that these two are actors. They're both actors, okay? The only reason that we're seeing these confusing stories play out before our eyes, where charges are dropped, yet they're still being treated as criminals because of, like, for example, Jussie had to serve community service. They fined him $100 and some thousand to pay back. These are things that happen when you are found guilty. But when charges are dropped, yet you are still being treated as someone who has been committed or has committed a crime or found guilty of committing a crime. The same with the president. All this is doing is it's causing anger to build in our society and confusion. Anger and confusion are emotions, negative emotions, that are fed on by the demonic spiritual realm around us. This is why these types of stories are pushed through, because just like if you ever watched Nightmare on Elm Street, you know that Freddy Krueger was strengthened by screams, the fear of people, okay? So we have a lot of course, horror movies pushing through, like that movie Us. Then we have these stories where people who are clearly guilty get off scot-free, but then they show these other weird things like, oh, but they're still treated as criminals, and even though the charges were dropped. That is nothing but mass confusion. The enemy loves mass confusion because that keeps people divided. And as the Bible says, an unstable man, or no, a double-minded man. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. So we're thinking two things to be true at the same time. That's cognitive dissonance, okay? So yes, this is an example of how the powers are using cognitive dissonance, which is psychological warfare, and also, more importantly, spiritual warfare. This is spiritual warfare at play. That's exactly what this is. All of these stories, none of them make sense. You don't know which way is up or down. Craziness, unprecedented moments happening right before our eyes. And it's to create these negative emotions to feed the devil. And that is where he gets his power. He wants us to be confused. He wants us to be afraid. He wants us to be angry. He wants us to be easily manipulated. Okay, and that is the way you manipulate people, by getting them in their feelings like that. So this is definitely a spiritual attack. I don't even follow these stories anymore. This is just, these are two actors. Everyone is an actor, no matter if they're the reporter covering the story or not. These are all actors. They are part of the whole satanic, helly weird storybook, and they are just going by their scripts. They've been given a script book and they're going by it, and they want to check the pulse of society to see who's awake and who's still asleep. But as 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 reminds us, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Thank you for listening and watching, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Enjoy your day.